Dune Messiah. Let's dive back into Frank Herbert's incredible universe. Remember Paul Atreides, the one who became emperor and religious leader? Muad'Dib? Well, Dune Messiah picks up his story 12 years later. He's got the whole universe under his thumb, but things are getting complicated. See, this whole Messiah thing started a war called the Jihad, because Fremen were fanatically loyal to Paul, and everyone believed they were doing good deeds. But the problem is, this war kills billions. It's like they can't see the bad things happening because they're so blinded by their faith in him. Some believe he has successfully spread the culture of the Fremen to worship him. Paul's got this special power, prescience, that lets him see the future. But here's the twist. It kind of traps him. Every choice he makes seems to lead to more violence. It's like he's stuck on a bad roller coaster he can't get off. The funny thing is, all these qualities that made him a great leader are now starting to isolate him. He's struggling with this prophecy burden, with the weight of all this power. And guess what? He's starting to look less like a hero and more like, well, an anti-hero. But wait, there's more. It turns out that Paul's not just facing problems from the war. Someone is plotting against him too. Powerful groups like the Bene Gesserit, the Spacing Guild, and the Tleilaxu all want a piece of the pie, and they're not afraid to take Paul down. It's a whole mess of conspiracy and conflict, you see. Paul's got enemies both inside and outside his empire, and they're all trying to manipulate things for their benefit. So, will Paul overcome these challenges? Will he find a way to break free from his predetermined fate? Stay tuned because things are about to get messy. Talk about a galactic power struggle? The Bene Gesserit, a secretive order obsessed with manipulating bloodlines, sees Paul's power as a potential threat to their breeding programs. The Tleilaxu, a faction known for their mastery of genetic engineering, view Paul as a potential test subject for their macabre experiments. The Bene Gesserit's Missionaria Protectiva is a stark reminder of the manipulative forces shaping this universe. Those mysterious women just want to control who gets to be more powerful. Herbert uses this fictional practice to highlight the real-world dangers of using religion and culture for political control. But the biggest betrayal for Paul, it comes from someone close, a resurrected friend. Remember Duncan Idaho, his loyal companion? They call this creation a Gola. This clone, however, has been programmed to turn against Paul. So, Paul's enemies are closing in from all sides, even from those he thought he could trust. The real question is, will Paul become the hero he was destined to be, or will he be consumed by the power and betrayals that surround him? Mother Mohaim is behind all this. She recruits Princess Irulan to murder Paul. She wants to bear Paul's children, but he refuses. Instead, Paul wants Chani to be the mother of his children. But Paul's fight goes beyond battles and politics. He faces a personal struggle. His wife Chani can't get pregnant. Turns out, someone's been messing with her food for 12 years. But Chani, defying Irulan's manipulation, switched back to her traditional Fremen diet. Defying the odds stacked against her, Chani conceived. This newfound happiness, however, would be tragically short-lived. The birth would take a heavy toll on Chani. Chani's body weakened from the contraceptive and the harsh desert environment. But despite the struggle, she gave birth to twins, a boy and a girl, whom Paul named Leto and Ganima. Losing Chani hit Paul hard. It wasn't just his wife, it was his love. Her death showed the heavy price leaders pay and the sacrifices they make for their destiny. Duncan regains his consciousness. He doesn't kill Paul. He and Aaliyah work together to plot against the Empire. Paul confronts Skytail, a Tleilaxu face dancer, who offers him a Faustian bargain, the resurrection of Chani through Tleilaxu technology in exchange for Paul's abdication of the throne. But Paul chooses integrity over temptation, a decision that seals his fate. He rejects the offer of a Tleilaxu face dancer to resurrect Chani. However, Aaliyah works as Paul's ally. She supports him with his empire, and as her power rises, so does her ruthlessness, leading to a pivotal decision that defies Paul's will. As Paul's soldiers attack the conspirators, others set off an atomic weapon called a stone burner, purchased from the Tleilaxu. Paul gets blinded. He successfully escapes the oracular trap and sets the universe on a new path. Paul may have lost his sight, but he gained something more. Through visions, he saw the attack and defeated his enemy. Paul embraces the Fremen tradition of a blind man, walking alone into the deadly desert of Arrakis. His death is seen as a form of self-sacrifice, aligning with the tragic destiny he foresaw and tried to avoid. With Paul gone, Aaliyah takes charge. She protects the twins, Leto and Ghanima, and crushes their enemies. It's a harsh world out there, and Aaliyah isn't afraid to play tough. Duncan isn't so sure about all this fighting. He wonders if this is what Paul wanted. Aaliyah gets revenge on those who hurt Paul. Some deserve it. One person Aaliyah spares is Princess Irulan. Paul's wife turned against him, but now she wants to help raise the twins. In Dune, Messiah Paul becomes a tragic figure burdened by the consequences of his victory. Frank Herbert uses Paul as a metaphor for figurative language. He compares him to powerful leaders. He also uses the religious devotion of the Fremen people to illustrate blind faith and fanaticism, and warns that religion can be a powerful tool when taken to extremes. This theme critiques the concept of a messianic figure, showing how prophecy and expectation can lead to downfall and suffering. Paul is portrayed as a tragic hero, a figure with extraordinary abilities and opportunities who is ultimately confined and brought down by forces beyond his control, including his internal conflicts. His reign, meant to usher in an era of peace and prosperity, leads instead to massive strife and suffering, reflecting the Greek tragedy elements that Herbert weaves into his narrative. Dune, Messiah takes a sad and depressive turn, a tale of a once-known powerful hero overwhelmed by the consequences of his success, and Herbert warns that religion can become dangerous when used to justify violence.
There are whispers in the wind, whispers of a new threat rising from the shadows, a clan calling themselves the Preachers.
So what's next? Maybe Paul's young twins will take over the world. Who knows? Complex characters, political maneuvering, betrayal. Expect everything in Dune. Children of Messiah.